Today I'm going to show you how to make a Maryland-style crab cake with a roasted red pepper sauce. First, we're going to mix the ingredients and form our cakes. Along the way, I'm going to show you some knife basics and how to chop properly. Then we're going to saute our cakes, and while that's happening, we're going to create our sauce. Lastly, we're going to put them together. It's going to be delicious. The secret to a great crab cake is adhesion. By combining my wet and dry ingredients properly, I can ensure that my crab cakes will stay together in the pan and that they'll be delicious. What I like to do is combine my wet ingredients first and then add my dry ingredients one by one, finishing with the crab. This ensures that my crab cakes will have the proper consistency and that they'll stay together when I cook them. But before we can start mixing, the first thing we need to do is learn how to handle a knife properly in order to prepare some of our dry ingredients. What I have here is a standard chef's knife, and most amateur cooks would think that you would just grab the handle and chop away. Unfortunately, as you cut through vegetables, the knife will have a tendency to slip out on you. So to ensure that doesn't happen, the proper grip is to pinch the blade, the spine, with your index and thumb, and then use your remaining 3 fingers to grab the handle. This reduces your chance of cutting yourself and gives you much greater control of your knife. I'll demonstrate on this onion over here. By holding the knife properly, I'm guaranteeing that I'm going to get good cuts every time and not cut my little piggies off. Now that we have some onion, I think it's time to start mixing all of this together. Like I said before, I first like to start making my crab cakes by mixing my wet ingredients. My first ingredient is 2 eggs. I've already cracked them. You may not be able to see them on camera, but they're in the bowl. Then I'd like to add a cup of mayonnaise. That looks good. A 1/3 cup of mustard, Grey Poupon, but of course, and my last wet ingredient is some Worcestershire sauce, about 1/4 cup. Once they're in the bowl, I'd like to go ahead and mix those up. It smells delicious. Now that I have my wet ingredients mixed, I'll start adding my dry ingredients one by one, and I'll finish with that crab. We have about 1.5 cups of breadcrumbs, chopped red peppers. I prepared some onions earlier, and we'll combine those with the ones that I just cut. A little salt, pepper, and Old Bay. Now I'll mix these up to make sure I have that consistency that I'm looking for. As the breadcrumbs soak into the wet ingredients, you start to get like a paste consistency. And that's going to be perfect when we add the crab meat to make our cakes. Just a few more stirs, and I think we'll have it. Perfect. Now, I'm going to add my crab meat. What I have here is chicken of the sea, claw crab meat. You can get this at my local supermarket for about $9.99 for 1 pound. Let's go ahead and add it in, shall we? Alright, now I'm just going to break up the crab meat very gently and slowly mix all of my ingredients together. So I've got my wet ingredients, which was a little pasty, and now my crab meat, It's all going to come together nicely. Oh, it smells so delicious. Now I've stirred up my crab meat. It's time to make those cakes. Secret to making a good cake is not using too much of the mixture at one time. What I like to do is to go ahead, get my hands right in there, and make a little ball. About that much. It's probably about half a cup's worth. And I'm going to use my plate here for the rest of my crab cakes. And voila! The next thing I'm going to do is refrigerate this plate for about 30 minutes so that they really stick together. So let's start by getting our crab cakes breaded and into the pan. What I have here is panko breadcrumbs, which are a Japanese style of breadcrumbs. They're very light, very flaky. They make the perfect outside coating for a crab cake. Okay, my crab cakes are simmering perfectly, so while they're cooking on that first side, I'm going to jump over here to the food processor and make a nice sauce. The secret to this sauce is the roasted red peppers. Go ahead and pick out 2 of the biggest ones that are in the jar. Get them in the food processor. Oh, that's a big one there. Should be delicious though. Then we add in about 1/3 cup of mayonnaise. For all of you who are health conscious out there, don't worry. You're not going to eat that much of this with the crab cakes. A couple large tablespoons of mustard. And then our spices. I have a little salt, pepper, cumin. Now just pour that right in. Then we fix our top on and mix it up. And there you have it. The sauce is done. Now we're just waiting on the crab cakes. Our crab cakes are almost finished, but before I pull one off and show it to you, I just want to review what we've done here today. We learned how to mix our wet and dry ingredients. We learned a little bit about knife safety, how to saute, and lastly we learned how to make a delicious roasted red pepper sauce. But of course none of this is any good unless we get the final product on a plate and we get to taste it. And there you have it, a delicious Maryland-style crab cake with roasted red pepper sauce. Delicious.